everyone, and welcome to SAF Ready, the podcast here at the University of Waterloo. On this podcast, we have a variety of guests, students, faculty, and staff to let you in on all the School of Accounting and Finance has to offer. I'm Sam, and I'll be your host. We want to ensure that you're hearing everything that you want to hear, know, and learn about in the School of Accounting and Finance. So after listening to each episode, feel free to DM us on our variety of social chains, as well as emailing us at saf@uwaterloo.ca with any more questions, topics, or people that you want to hear from. Tune in soon for our next episode on Buzzsprout, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Honestly, any platform that offers podcasts, we're most likely on it. Today we have Alan, and he's going to be talking about the International Study course. You're currently an executive on the current trip right now, right?
Part of the management team.
Yes, amazing. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to dive right in and just talking about the opportunities that you have by being a part of this. Yeah. So Alan, thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so let's just dive right in. So what is the International Study course for students?
Yeah, sure. Kicking it right off and diving into what the International Study course is. It's essentially an opportunity for students here with the School of Accounting and Finance, regardless of your program, if you're in AFM, CFM, SFM, it's a chance to experience culture and international business in another part of the world. So most recently, it is really cool. I went to Singapore and we met with 12 different companies, met a ton of dignitaries, and it was just incredible.
That's so cool. So do you guys plan the whole process? How does the course run, I guess I should say?
Yeah. So it really is more of a course than a trip.
Okay.
In the sense that there's 3 different teams. We've got the marketing team, the meals and logistics team, and the corporate relations team. So these 3 teams all work dynamically, but separately but together to essentially form this trip. So the entire 4 months that you've got in school is here to plan. And then for the actual 10 days that you're in Singapore, or we're going to Vietnam next, it's we just take it from there.
Okay, that's so cool. So and just kind of get a little bit more about you. So what program are you in here at the School of Accounting and Finance?
Yeah, so I'm currently in my 3B term, so third year of AFM.
Okay.
And I've completed 2 co-ops so far, and I've got my 3rd coming up in the fall. Really excited for that. And for specializations, I'm just doing the financial markets specialization.
Oh, okay, perfect. So that kind of really works out well with being on the management team for the International Study course.
Yeah, I think it does.
Specialization that really works out well. Nice. Mm-hmm. That's so cool. So what was the application process like? I know that this course is not something you can just quickly enroll to. You have to apply.
Yeah, so there's a couple of steps in the application process. It's mostly 2-tiered. So for the first round, there's going to be an email that will be sent out to you guys over Learn, and all you've got to do is submit your resume, cover letter, and the application form to the study trip. I've got a couple sample questions here for you guys just to give you a little bit of a head start on it. They'll ask you questions like, why are you interested in participating in the course? What do you expect to learn from it? And what do you think you can bring to the table, right? Like, which of the 3 teams would be best suited to you? Yeah. And how could you really support the process of planning the trip?
Oh, that's so cool. So you get to really kind of, it's not just something where I feel like a lot of students are nervous of oh, what if they're just looking at grades? So it's kind of nice that they get to look at you as a person, not just your necessarily. Obviously, I imagine that you have to be pretty good academic standing to get into the course, but I like that it's not just just on academic premise. Yeah, it's just really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really comprehensive application process. So it's a whole lot more than just your grades. They really get to know you for who you are. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you make it past the first round with your resume and cover letter, they are going to give you an interview request.
Oh, cool.
And then, you'll interview with them for 15, 20 minutes. You'll sit down with Steve, the prof who runs the course, as well as the TA.
We love Steve. Steve's coming on next week.
So is that right? What's Steve talking about?
He's talking about this on the
more about the study trip.
I'm having him talk about more of the administrative side and also just some of the other courses that he teaches. But
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Steve's amazing. So that's going to be a great episode.
I know. I was walking around the halls and he's doing a pizza social. So I'm very jealous.
I know. Only for second years. Yeah. It's too bad. I know. Should have done it last year.
I know, exactly. So is it just the prof that so just Steve who kind of does the interview process, or is there a team or a committee that kind of looks over the applications?
Yeah, so it'll be with Steve and the teaching assistant, whoever it is.
Okay, cool. Very, very nice. Awesome. So what advice would you have for students who are interested in applying?
Yeah, I'd say if you're applying, there's a couple of things you really have to consider.
Yeah.
First of all, you really have to understand why you're interested in the trip and what you bring to the table. Kind of speaking to what I was mentioning earlier, if you wanted to be part of the marketing culture team, do you have experience with marketing?
Yeah.
Were you a past, maybe a tour guide in a past life, stuff like that, right? Or do you really understand Vietnam? Is your family from there? yeah, just what do you bring to the table and how can you support the process? Also, I think you should really have a good reason for why you're interested in this specific location.
Oh, okay.
I know I'm the first student to be on the trip more than one
I was
time.
gonna say you did the Singapore and then you're also going on this one, right?
Exactly,
That's so
exactly.
cool.
But historically, you could only go on one, so you'd really have to nail why you're interested in this one location. So, for example, the trip after the one that we're doing now is going to be most likely, I think it's unconfirmed. Might be best to talk to Steve about it.
Oh my goodness. Are we getting like a download information? This is so exciting.
I hear it's gonna be to Switzerland.
Oh,
Yeah,
Swiss
yeah.
cheese and hot chocolate. Oh,
And
sounds
like
so
the
good.
fondue, all of that. I would love
Yes.
that too.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no, one of my friends did her exchange there and like she'd always just post like all these amazing pictures of all the food she was eating. And I was like,
Really? Yikes. I gotta go on exchange.
I know it's definitely a huge thing to talk about. So yeah, we're gonna have a whole other episode about that too. But
Yeah, but there's almost like a mini exchange, right?
yeah,
And
you
then
get like the whole fun side of it too.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. But just to wrap up my point, I think like if you're interested in Switzerland, maybe it's because of financial services. Maybe it's because they're known for the best and most secure private banking in the world.
Yep.
Something like that might help with your application process.
Cool. Well, that's definitely something to think about. That's
Yeah.
awesome. It's cool. And I just think that it's just so cool that you get school credit for just being able to do this.
I know,
Like,
eh?
this is so crazy.
Isn't that amazing?
I know.
Thank you, SAF.
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah. So I think one of my main questions is kind of like what is like the day to day for when you actually get over to the place that you're doing the conference.
Mhm.
Like kind of like how does it work? Like do you guys like meet with them beforehand? Is there like certain like meetings? Like how
Yeah.
does it kind of like roll?
Yeah, Samantha, that's a good question. So I can give you an example. So
Yeah.
for Singapore, we had about 10 days there. We had about, 4 or 5 days of meetings, and then the rest were actually allocated towards sightseeing and tourism.
Oh, fun.
So yeah. So for the sightseeing portion, that's mostly led by meals and logistics and the marketing team.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, given that it's marketing and culture, they're kind of bringing you around,
Yeah.
trying all the unique foods, seeing what there is to be seen. And then for the actual days that were all business, that would be led by corporate relations.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
Okay,
yeah.
cool. So do you guys do like, is it like conference style or like networking style? Like kind of like what is like the specifics of like the corporate side of the trip?
Okay, so for the corporate side, we've got meetings lined up throughout the day. Typically, it's going to range anywhere between 2 to 4 meetings, depending on how busy we are that day, or like how long the meetings actually are.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah.
so cool. And so you said you had 12 companies go the last time you guys were there?
12 companies for 12 students. So each of us prep a preparatory document for one company that we're assigned to. So it's like you do some
Oh,
background research on who are you meeting, and obviously who's the firm.
yeah, absolutely.
And yeah, in the morning over breakfast, while everyone's munching away, you're gonna give all the students a rundown on exactly who we're meeting and what might be some good questions to ask them.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, that's so interesting. I was like,
Yeah.
I was curious of how like the whole process went because like obviously like in my job, like I'm told a lot about what the international study course is, but I
Yeah.
haven't gotten like all the nitty gritty details of like what to explain of like
Oh.
what you do on the day to day. So this
Yeah.
is like this is helpful for me.
Here you have it.
But it's also just like really cool to
Yeah.
like learn about the specifics, and it's like it's kind of fun that you get to do both like the kind of the tourism side and
Yeah.
then also like the business side of it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you guys like make those connections with those execs? Like, is it like kind of like I guess it would be kind of like a premier opportunity to like meet these people, and like then you have like an international connection, which is kind of crazy.
Exactly. It's actually really, really cool. So for the corporate relations team, all the meetings, well, we try to have as many of the meetings as possible be set up by the students themselves.
Oh, okay.
So what we're going to do at the beginning of the term is all the corporate relations students are going to reach out over LinkedIn, or they're going to send out cold
Oh.
emails, or if you know an uncle who knows the CEO of whatever, you're going to reach out to him and then say, hey, can we meet you? So it's actually entirely student led.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And it really teaches you about like getting yourself out there and getting the word out there and like making those connections. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Oh, I
Yeah.
love that. That's so fun. So like how many people would you say are on each team? So like how many people are in per class per
Mhm.
study course?
Yeah, so it's a pretty good it's a pretty even split between the 3 teams. Given that we have usually around 10 to 12 students, yeah, there's going to be 3 to 4 on each of them.
Okay, so there's usually about 12, 15 that do the study trip.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
gotcha,
So it's a
gotcha.
little bit competitive, but if you make it on, it's incredible.
Okay, awesome. Well, yeah, I know. I was like always curious of how large the class is actually because I feel like something
Yeah.
like this would definitely be a little bit more exclusive than like a introductory AFM elective.
Yeah, it would be kind of hard to get around on the subway with 500 students following you. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, how did you become a part of like the management team, which I'm guessing is like separate from? Is that it separate from like those
Um,
3 teams that you're on, or is it something
yeah,
else?
yeah. Technically, I'm like half management, half marketing. So being on the marketing team, that's pretty much a student role.
Okay.
Pretty much what you'd expect from what I described, setting up those meetings with the actual, sorry, not the meetings with the corporations, but the meetings here on campus
Oh,
to
gotcha.
do like a rundown of etiquette, a rundown of culture. But the other half of my role is to help Victoria Hinds. Shout out to you,
Yes.
Victoria.
We love Victoria.
But basically, what I'm helping Victoria do is we're setting up a little Singapore reunion
Oh,
because
fun.
Singapore is between here and Vietnam.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so we're actually leveraging those connections we made on the last trip to
Oh.
bring these guys in again for a little dinner.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah, just to have them meet more students and to have the students meet them.
That's so cool. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. And I guess now like more of like your personal experience. So like what has been like your favorite memory that you've had from the last trip? And like what are you kind of looking forward to most for the next one? Oh.
Oh.
Hit my mic. Oh no.
It's okay. Favorite memory, I think there's so many of them. I think just being in such a small team environment, being in a completely different country, somewhere that's super, super uncomfortable, somewhere that like really puts you out there,
Yeah.
really makes you have the opportunity to get really close to the other students and to Steve.
Oh yeah,
So
true.
I
Yeah.
think that was incredible. One of my favorite memories was probably a bit of a stressful one. We were wrapping up our meetings and we were on the fourth meeting of the day. And for context, 4 meetings might not sound like a lot, but
Oh,
with each one being about 2 hours with considerable travel in between,
that's a
we
lot.
were pretty gassed by that time.
I'd be like
Like
just
some of
about
us couldn't
ready
even
to
walk.
sleep.
Right. But we were so hungry because we didn't have time for lunch that day.
Oh
And in
no.
Singapore, it's really unique in the sense that the cities are really clean, but it's illegal to eat or drink anything on the subway. Absolutely,
Really?
not even water. Completely illegal.
Oh my goodness. I know about like the gum thing, but I didn't
No,
that's
to all
crazy.
food and drink
Oh
illegal.
my god.
So we were completely famished going to our last meeting of the day. And we were like, guys, we gotta eat something. But we couldn't do it on the subway. So we took the subway and there was about 10 minutes of walking between the subway and our final meeting. We ran to a 7-Eleven. We grabbed a bunch of sandwiches and I think it was like 3 for $8. So I grabbed like 3 full sandwiches. But I think my eyes were a little bigger than my actual appetite. So I was still on my last sandwich by the time we got there.
Yeah.
And the dignitaries were in the lobby waiting for us. They came out, they said, "Hey, nice to meet you guys. How's it going?" And I stick out my hand with like, my mouth full and half a sandwich left. And I was, I sort of mumbled, "Nice to meet you too." But it's just so crazy. It's hectic, but in the best sense, right? Like
Yeah.
you just experience so much, you get to know so much more. And yeah, once again, it's incredible.
That is so funny. Oh, I love that. And like, is there anything like that you're specifically looking forward to for like Vietnam, like any of the tourism that they've kind of already like planned, I guess, that you're like excited about?
Yeah, I'm really excited for the food tourism.
Oh yeah.
I'm
such a foodie.
I love Vietnamese food.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I used to be a food blogger actually.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so cool. Are you like still pretty active with your food blogs?
Unfortunately not.
Oh, I was gonna
But-
say we could give you a shout out on here if you wanted.
Are you gonna show them my
your
little food
food
account? No. But I used to help out Asian restaurants within the GTA with their marketing.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
yeah, I feel like we're kind of coming full circle with me actually going to Asia and actually doing marketing.
Yeah.
So I'd love to try the rice dishes, the noodles. I hear it's like really, really authentic over there.
Like top tier.
Top tier. It's gotta be.
Nice. Oh, that's awesome. Well, that is all the questions that I had. And guys, feel free to like message us about any specific questions. And I'm happy to connect you guys with Alan. He'll give you more information
Absolutely.
about it. And yeah, definitely think about doing the international study course if you're interested in it for sure. But thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I think if I could, can I just say one last thing to
Oh
the
my
students?
goodness, absolutely.
One last thing. Okay. If you guys are interested in the international study trip, I think you really got to get a head start on it. It's a little bit competitive, but I'd really love for you guys to have the opportunity to be part of this, I might even call it life-changing experience.
Yeah.
So, really make sure you brush up on your resume and cover letter. Speak to older students. Speak to industry professionals. Speak to your mom. Get it reviewed and really have a why for your application. And then finally, when you're actually going to the interview with Steve, he's really going to want to make sure you guys have done your homework. So speak with, people who have been on the trip in the past, listen into this podcast and just be part of the whole experience.
Yeah, we also have a variety of blog posts that are going up, and it's like
There
written
you
by
go.
you guys that have like taken those pictures and
Yeah. it's
have
coming
given
up.
us all the information about it. So yeah, definitely check out all of our online blogs and also like this podcast if you're like
Yeah.
listening already. And yeah, definitely reach out to some of the students for sure. Absolutely. Well, yeah, thank you again so much.
Yeah. Thanks again for having me and thanks for listening in.